Welcome to The Know. I'm Ashley Jenkins, and we're back with more Homeworld. Yes! So far, we've covered how the remaster came about and how the developers are balancing that sense of nostalgia against the current use of technology. If you missed either of those, check out the links in the description. It hasn't all been an easy path, though. There's been some missing code, a bunch of tech issues, kind of a pain, really. So for today, let's cover how the developers got over all those hurdles and what some of the upgrades mean for the gameplay.
It turns out that the Homeworld 2 engine, it had a lot of its shortcomings, but it was pretty high-tech for its time. It was a major advancement in technology over Homeworld 1. We're able to do a lot more with it. A lot of the die-hard fans of Homeworld 1 will say, well, Homeworld 1 had this, but Homeworld 2 didn't, for example, formations. But the engine itself for Homeworld 2 was quite sophisticated. So we started with the Homeworld 2 engine, and we figured out what we needed to upgrade to work with Remastered. It turns out the major area of effort has actually been in the tools, because our Homeworld tools for Homeworld 2, so our tools for Homeworld 2 were not very sophisticated, and they were not very robust.
One of the biggest challenges in this game is that a bunch of the tools that they had used for creating assets before we couldn't really use them anymore. They used a version of Maya from back when, and try as we might, we could not find anybody with that version of Maya that we could actually use because it's outdated. Maya, the company that makes Maya, has gone through a few different transitions over the years, so it was just a big challenge.
So a lot of the effort's been basically getting our tools up to date, and getting them up to date such that we're able to produce content of the quality bar that we're now targeting, which is crazy high compared to Homeworld 2. An interesting story, when I started looking through their code base, I kind of got this impression, it's like something's missing here. I'm pretty sure I fixed this bug. I kept hitting these bugs and that's a bug I fixed in Homeworld 1, and then we rewrote it and I refixed it in Homeworld 2, but it's still a bug, what the heck? So I did some digging and I found that Gearbox didn't get the most up-to-date code. They're missing some of the patches. So again, we're fixing some bugs that I fixed in 2003.
They basically just gave us a whole bunch of data. It was essentially, it looked like it was data that had come off a few CDs. So they had burned their source control database to CD. And it was different data in different forms. Plus the Homeworld 1 stuff was interesting because it was just everything they had at the time. So there's marketing analysis, promo screenshots and concept art and stuff like that was in that dump, whereas the Homeworld 2 dump was pretty much just source code and source content.
There was quite a bit missing. It's one of those things, after 12 or 15 years of time goes by, then you end up with something that's kind of languished and nobody's been keeping track of it or whatever, and so it's all over the place and it's all in different states of disrepair. It's whatever somebody had on their hard drive whenever they decided, okay, I need that stuff, that kind of thing. And so luckily also some of this stuff was still on some of the original creators' hard drives. They had kept a lot of the stuff, the original concept art. Rob and Aaron were able to go back through some of their own collections. I think they had it in a storage container somewhere and in their garage, and they were able to pull out all these old sketches that they did, because they did a lot of that on paper before they scan it or paint it or whatever.
When we got the game originally, it was also an interesting challenge trying to compare what we were doing to the original game, because Homeworld 1 had CD copy protection, which everything did back then in the day. And then part of what's been a nightmare for people has been the one authorization, the network authorization that had to happen with it as well, which that's long gone with Sierra, essentially.
GameSpy is no longer a thing. Although when we released Homeworld, it was the thing. So who knows if this game survives another 10 years, what will be around. In 1999, when we released Homeworld, we used World Opponent Network. That is also not around. That was Sierra's sort of in-house multiplayer system. So we had to migrate everything to Steam.
So one of the things about Cataclysm is that it wasn't developed by Relic. So this was created by Barking Dog at the time. And so it's sort of semi-canonical, but it's not entirely made by the original creators. So one of the things for us was to try to keep everything that was created by Relic, this whole 1 and 2 story, all contiguous and it make a lot of sense and fit within the same engine. So that's another reason why, since they were the ones that developed it, we also didn't necessarily get their assets, and they did not deliver those assets necessarily to Relic, and somehow didn't make it over to THQ whenever the exchange of IP happened.
Apparently there's nobody has the Cataclysm source code. Apparently it's gone. I don't know where it went. I don't know why no one bothered to keep a copy of it. But it is gone. It is gone, and no one knows where it is.
We would love to be able to find it. If anybody out there has it, we'd love to get it back and see what we can do.
There's just a lot of little things we put in there to try and support more modern expectations. But aside from that, there's some stability tweaks certainly. So there were problems before where things would have crashed, or there's some Homeworld 2 missions we've had to fix little scripting issues on and things like that. So there are some things that some people may or may not notice until it doesn't do this nasty thing it did to them before.
There are a number of additions to the gameplay. We haven't gone crazy with the gameplay, but the big challenge has been we have Homeworld 1, we have Homeworld 2. We're putting them together into one engine. Now Homeworld 1 played differently from Homeworld 2. So we're trying to make them play together, and tuning that has been a challenge at times, but we're getting there, and it's looking really, really amazing.
Heidi, who did the voice for the original Mothership, she was pregnant apparently at the time, and so her voice had changed, and so they didn't use her when they first recorded it. So we had the opportunity to hire her back again and unify both games by re-recording her doing the Mothership voice, for the whole thing. So it's things like that we were able to do.
The thing I actually hope the most is that people discover the game that never played it before. I hope that this allows a whole new generation of gamers to realize what's possible, and back then this was a landmark game, but the things that it did that were innovative really haven't been matched since. Like it in some ways it's innovative by today's standards, but because the graphics looked old, a new audience wouldn't give it much notice. But by redoing all of that and bringing it out as if like, hey, this is what it would look like if it came out today, I hope a lot of new people discover it.
Do you mind the slight tweaks made to the gameplay as a result of the technical upgrades? Let us know in the comments, and we'll be back tomorrow to talk more about Homeworld on the patch before we wrap up with some final details on Friday. Remember, you get the best in video games and entertainment right here, so make sure you like this video and subscribe to this channel, and we'll keep you in the know.